Hey everybody, this is David at Shine On Studio in Oakland, California, and today we're going to continue on mixing vocals. I'm still working with the new position, and this song is called Not. It's on their new album Precipice, and we're going to use the C4 Multiband parametric processor today to do a little bit of leveling out on the vocals. Now I'm also going to use this as a secondary de-esser to the main vocal de-esser that's already on the track. And I'll show you what I mean as we get going here. Let me play you a little bit of the music and the vocal so you can see what this processor is doing for me. So that you can see that it is doing a little bit of compression down on the low end and up on the high end, and just a little bit of flex and touches somewhere in the mid-range, just to help keep everything nice and even. So let's break it down real quick and look specifically at what it's doing here on the low end. You might not be able to hear this too well, so I'll try my best to isolate what we are listening to. That's a bunch of stuff that I don't want in the mix, so it's fine that it's going to clamp down on that. You don't really even notice it too much, even with this on, but that's something that I don't need anyway. So let's move on here to the mid-range and listen to what it's doing here, and it's just ever so slight, just on a couple of the T's and the P's, where she gets a little bit too much energy.
Lose myself on deep waters, drift beyond all cares and thoughts.
Now the threshold is being controlled by this little slider here, and then the range is the purple area of how much compression can actually be applied. In this sense, I have 8 dB. I don't even need that much. I could probably move this up somewhere around 5 dB, and we'd probably still be all right. Let's check it again.
Lose myself on deep waters, drift beyond all cares and thoughts.
Probably only about a dB of reduction at most, in some spots maybe a little bit more. Now these lines here are the crossover points between each of these compression areas. You can either click right here and drag and see that it changes, or you can actually double click here and actually type in a value and it'll move directly to that. So let's move on up to the upper mids, which I am giving a 3 dB boost. Same 8 dB range for the compression to work, and a little bit faster attack. In fact, I'm actually going to change this to an even 4 for right now and set the release to 10. Let's check this. So a little heavy maybe on that, so I'm going to move the threshold up just a touch here and see if we can only catch those really high energy points that we want to mellow out just a little bit. That's helping out just a touch. I might have to move it up just a little bit more to even it out. But let's focus on the upper range here. And this is really doing more of a de-essing, also taming a little bit of the T's that come in and some of the P's and B's that tend to sneak up into this upper range that can give it way too much presence in the vocal. Let's listen to what this is doing. So you can see when the S's come in, it really kicks in. I've got the threshold pretty low. I've got a really fast attack, and I'm giving it a lot of range for it to do its work and compress the level down. Let's listen to the whole thing over here.
Lose myself on deep waters, drift beyond all cares and thoughts.
So I know this is a popular technique and a lot of people are talking about it. I've been implementing this in my mixes for a long time, and it's how I get my vocals to really sit in the mix. This is really the glue that will help you out. Now, in addition to all the other processing you're doing, your EQing and your compressing and your de-essing, if you're using any effects, all that stuff, you can use this as your final stem compression. so that you can run everything through it all at once and make sure you get a really nice, even vocal. Let's go back here, and I'm going to unmute all the stems. Let's listen to it in context of the mix. Gives us a nice, even vocal all the way through. I'm going to bypass it now so we can listen to it without the processing. You can hear how the vocal jumps out and then it recesses back in and jumps out and recesses back in. It almost makes it tugs and pulls on your ear and makes it difficult for you to understand what the vocalist is trying to say. So by leveling this out, this actually gives you the opportunity to bring the overall volume up. You could use the main output of the fader here. I am, in this case, using a CLA 76, also by Waves. So both of these plugins here are from Waves. I'll put them here side by side so you can see them. And I'm just going to give her a little bit more input into this compressor so that we can get maybe a dB or two of gain reduction and then give it a little bit of output boost. Let's check this out. Could actually give her a little bit more. I'm going to bump this up. Let's see what this sounds like. Little too much. You saw how it really jumped out there when she said waters. So I'm going to pull this back down and let's check it again. So you hear that the compression kicks in and it actually kind of dips the vocal a little too much. It's what you want to avoid when you're putting compression on your vocals. Let's pay attention to it right here. This gain reduction meter is what I'm watching right now. And I really don't want this to flicker too much at any point. You know, maybe go up to the 1 to the -2 mark. That's just showing me that it's reducing the signal by 1 to 2 dB. Probably pull it back just a hair more. I'm getting closer to where I want it to be, and I should actually probably go into the main vocal and maybe use some actual gain automation and pull that section down just a hair maybe. So let's jump over there and let's hide these guys and let's see where that line is. Let's zoom in here real quick. You can actually see that the waveform is much larger in that segment right there. So let's bring up our clip gain line real quick. And I'm going to highlight over this segment. And I'm going to bring it down just a touch. And I'm actually going to remove this back one so it has a little bit of a slope. And let's check this out. And let's bring back our plugins. Let's check this out. It sounds a little bit more even to my ear. And the goal is achieved. I've got nice even vocals. I've leveled them out. I've given them a little bit of compression just to bring them up and sit them on top of the music. I haven't really gotten into mixing the guitars and the drums just yet. I've given them a quick polish over, but we'll look at that in more detail as we move on with this mixing session. Keeping this one short. Hope you guys got something out of this. You can use this technique on vocals for any genre of music. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave them down below. Again, this is David at Shine On Studio in Oakland, California. Thanks for watching. Happy mixing.